So, as you know, chat, we recently react to the presidential debates where we went over, obviously Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, and the debate went insanely poor for Donald Trump. Like, he just got destroyed. He made himself look like an absolute lunatic on so many levels. And yeah, it just didn't go very well for Donald Trump. And the conservative side of the, political aisle is not too happy, chat. In fact, they just seem to be coping extremely hard on the fact that Trump didn't go so well. And they've gone on to start attacking the moderators and claiming that the moderators were unfair to Donald Trump. So we're going to take a look at some of that. We got Fox News tweeting here, 5-0, ABC debate moderators spark fury for aggressively fact-checking former President Trump while going easy on Vice President Harris. And they show some examples here. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at it.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But the question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin?
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
Oh my God. So they're really mad about the fact that they fact-checked Donald Trump on the spot. And personally, I really like that about the debate. I like the fact that they fact-check stuff on the spot because, a lot of times, when you see these debates, fact-checking on the spot doesn't happen. And so a lot of times the audience who doesn't know any better comes away from it believing some of the things that were said as part of the debate. So I'd like to see more of that in future debates, but they're mad because Donald Trump repeatedly had to be fact-checked, and that didn't really happen for Kamala Harris. And you have to think maybe that has to do with the fact that Kamala Harris wasn't really saying anything that wasn't super untrue or insane, like saying that, cats are being eaten by, Haitians in Ohio, and that Kamala Harris wants to perform transgender surgeries on illegal immigrants in prison, and that people are aborting children after they've already been born. Really off the wall, insane shit. Maybe, they didn't check Kamala Harris because she wasn't saying insane stuff like that. Now, there were a couple things, to my understanding, that Kamala Harris got incorrect. She made a statement about, Donald Trump leaving us the worst unemployment rate since the Great Depression. Apparently that wasn't right. It was since the last recession. So maybe that was a misspeak on her part. It's hard to say. And then there was another thing where she said that Donald Trump said that if he loses the election, it's going to be a bloodbath. Apparently his bloodbath comments was in regards to the economy, not threats of violence, as she seemed to suggest or something. So there were a couple things that Kamala Harris did get wrong, or maybe was a little bit inflammatory with during the debate. But I would say that two things, as opposed to how many times Donald Trump said things that were dishonest, I would say that's not that much. But in any case, let's take a look at some of the other comments about this. We got Benny Johnson tweeting this comic here where it shows Donald Trump arguing with the moderators, and then we have Kamala Harris, excuse me, do you still need me here? So they basically made it seem like Trump was doing more debating with the moderators than he was his actual opponent, which is definitely not how that happened. There was a moment where Trump did try to debate one of the moderators, and it was over the whole, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating people's pets. The moderator said, we did reach out to, the city manager in Ohio, Springfield, and they said that there's no credible reports of any of that happening. And he's like, but I saw it on the television. It was on the television. So, yeah. And yeah, the rich, that's Rich from the Russian Stooge, Benny Johnson. Yeah, true. This is one of the guys that was part of that whole scandal. So, good point. Thank you for commenting on that. We got Matt Walsh, everybody's favorite conservative moron, Matt Walsh. Ironically, the moderators are winning this debate for Trump by being so insanely lopsided and biased against him. They are now the story of the night, which is a win for Trump. I mean, I feel like if you have to stretch that far to get a win for Trump after that debate, then yeah, you're stretching like Stretch Armstrong. Okay, like that was not, nothing about that debate was a win for Trump. But okay, if it makes you feel better. Megyn Kelly says every single question is about Trump controversies, putting him on the hot seat on them, and then a follow-up to her to let her dump on him for 2 minutes. Maybe because Trump is an idiot, and maybe because Trump has several controversies that the American people would like to see him address. I mean, what is controversial about Kamala Harris's past? We know like some of the things they've tried to make controversial. We've seen them question her race, which is a really insane thing to do. We've seen them comment on the fact that she dated a talk show host way back in the early 2000s, before she was even involved in politics, which I don't understand why that matters, but okay, if you say so. I just, what controversies are there for her to address? I don't understand. There's plenty for Trump to address, but okay. Speaking of Megyn Kelly, she did do a video on this, and we're going to take a look at it to see what she had to say. So let's just dive right into it.
I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News.
Oh my God, they are so mad. We are only 4 seconds into the video, and we already have coping and seething.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing.
Only 4 seconds in, Jeff.
Coping and
4 seconds in.
seething. The truth it is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard.
Stop being such a little gay homo queer.
They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting.
Is that true? Is there truth behind that? Or is this like another one of those like conservative conspiracy theories where they're literally making shit up? I'm genuinely curious if that's true.
And they did Dana Walden's bidding tonight. It was 3 against 1 on that debate stage this evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. A special program tonight for you reacting to the debate. It was 3 against 1. It's very easy to look like you know what you're doing when both moderators are entirely on your side. Trump did the best he could under the circumstances, but it really was like 3 fighters in the ring pummeling one opponent. And Trump tried to take them all on.
This is just like really sad. They're so like, Trump supporters are just as sore of losers as Trump is himself. Like anytime he gets an obvious loss, okay, and that was a loss, okay, there's no way you can argue in favor of Donald Trump winning that debate. He just didn't. It didn't happen, okay? But like, they're so mad because their guy sucks. He just does.
He did fine. He did as best as he could. He was thrown a few times to the point where he was unnecessarily defensive and he was getting angry. And so was I. Were you?
Kamala was literally baiting him, like at one point, because when you're listening to a presidential debate, what you want to hear the candidates, debate about is issues that actually matter to you, the American people, right? Like that's what you want to hear. You want to hear what they're going to do for you as a representative of you, the people, right? The last thing you want to hear about is like arguing about things like crowd size and stuff like that, right? The kind of things that Donald Trump constantly brags about to stroke his own ego and whatnot. Nobody gives a shit about that though, when it comes to talking about like public policy and whatnot. So she baited him into talking about this and making him look like a fool. She basically like said something along the lines of, I encourage you guys to go look at his debates so you can see like the silly things they talk about. He's talking about like fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter and stuff. He's, stroking his own ego. People are leaving early because they're getting bored and whatnot. And that really bruised his ego in a way that he took the bait and he responded to it and he made himself look like a fool in the process. It was really funny.
This was a mistake to trust ABC News with this debate. The Republicans must learn from this mistake. The same way the Democrats never agree to do anything with moderators they don't entirely trust.
It's funny, like Kamala during that debate knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing. Dare I say she is a master debater.
I'm gonna come.
Miss Gender Lynn in the chat says she mad. Oh, she very mad. She very, very mad.
This should be the last time the Republicans ever do this. Because those two moderators tried to sink Donald Trump tonight.
They tried to. Donald Trump sunk himself. He made himself look like a jackass. Like what?
Fact checks.
He was literally talking about people eating dogs, something that's verifiably not true. It would have been better for the Republicans to have Alex Jones on the stage debating on their behalf, because he was literally spewing tinfoil hat bullshit. Like, it was that fucking bad.
He said, and none on what she said. None. I don't remember.
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder, why did they not feel the need to correct her on anything? As I said before, maybe it's because she didn't say anything like stupid fucking unhinged. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
Remember a single fact check of anything she said, and she lied repeatedly. She just got away with it. In the moderator's eyes.
Can you give us some examples of the lies? And like I said, I was honest with you guys, like in the beginning of this. There were a couple moments where Kamala Harris said things that weren't true. And if you happen to miss it, I'll go ahead and I'll go into them. She made a statement about how Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment rate since the Great Depression. That's not true. My understanding is that it was actually the worst unemployment rate since the last recession. So maybe that was a misspeak on her part. I'm not really sure. Maybe she was over exaggerating. I don't know. But that was something that she got wrong. And then the other thing is she seemed to imply that he said that if he lost the election, that it was going to be a bloodbath in regards to threatening, threats of violence. When in reality, when he made that bloodbath comment, it was in regards to the economy. He believes the economy is going to be a bloodbath if he loses the election or whatever. So there were a couple of things that she said that they're not super correct in the way that she presented them. But like, again, when you're competing against somebody who's talking about, people aborting children after they're already born, and people giving transgender surgeries to illegal immigrants in prison, and you're talking about someone who's claiming that people are eating cats and dogs, it's pretty obvious why they were willing to correct that guy and not the person who maybe misspoke a little bit.
That was Donald Trump's job, to fact check her. That's correct. Except you didn't employ that same tactic when it came to Trump. And you accused him of lying even when it was your opinion that he lied. When Trump tried to say that his comment that he lost 2020 by a whisker was him being sarcastic, David Muir actually injected saying, I didn't hear sarcasm. Who gives a shit what you heard? Who died and left you political analyst in chief? You're supposed to be the objective news anchor of World News Tonight. That's a comment you make to your significant other, David. Not on the debates. It didn't sound like that to me. Shut up. That is inappropriate.
She is so triggered right now, chat. Like, it's really insane. In my opinion, one could still argue with how much conservatives threaten civil war. If he loses, the bloodbath comment could still stand, just not that Trump said it. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I would argue the same thing, pretty much, to be honest. Like, because we've seen the way that they behave, with the J6 incident, obviously. But yeah, obviously this was not really fairly representing the way that Donald Trump actually communicated that particular point. But yeah, I see exactly what you mean.
It's not for you to make that call. Leave it up to Kamala Harris. Leave it up to people like me who will play the soundbite and let the audience decide. But you were out of line, and they did it to him over and over and over again. And the worst piece of all of this is the obvious tactic by ABC News, which was as follows. Mr. Trump, you said something incredibly controversial and terrible. Let me remind you of what it was. Do you have any regrets or thoughts on how terrible you were? Trump answers. Vice President Harris, how bad is Trump? And then she'd answer. It happened over and over again. That was the format. Mr. Trump.
Again, when you have somebody who is a, candidate for president, and he has a very colorful past where he's said and done a lot of really terrible things, of course they're going to ask him about that. You could look at the history of like any presidential debate, okay? And if there was like controversy in the past of a particular candidate, they're going to ask them about that, and they're going to give them an opportunity to address it. And of course they're going to allow their opponent to comment on it. It's not the fault of the moderators that Trump has gotten himself in so much shit in the past that there's a lot of stuff to pull from. That's on him. That's not on them.
You're a piece of shit. Kamala Harris, isn't he a shit? Thank you. It was incredible. And then anything Trump said, fact check, fact check, fact check. And they're fact.
Miss Jenner Lynn says he was mad at her when she was one of the debate moderators. Yeah, anytime he does one of these debates, he always shits on like the moderators, no matter who they are. So it's really funny to me that she would get like super mad and aggro about this when like it doesn't matter who the moderators are. He always thinks that they're unfair to him.
Checks were full of shit. I'm swearing even more than normal right now because I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm angry at them, at ABC, at my industry that I want nothing to do with. And I've never been happier to be outside.
JC says they're transing immigrants, genders in prison. Hold up. If I illegally immigrate to America and get incarcerated, will you all pay for my transition? Be right back. Buying a plane ticket. Oh my God. That's so funny. Yeah. The way the way he portrays it, like he made it sound like they're committing like some kind of like war crime on like immigrants who get incarcerated, that they're like forcing them to transition or whatever. It's like they want to transition our illegal immigrants. If you want to get a visa into this country, you have to surrender your penis. It's so weird. It's such a dumb thing to say.
And be able to say how I truly feel. And yes, even with some colorful words, because that's what the situation calls for. They're trying to steal this election. They're openly working to sink him. I think it was so bad, their bias against him and toward her, that it's going to backfire. I actually think the American public is going to see through this, and there's probably going to be some empathy for Trump. No fair-minded person could think anything other than that they were in the tank for him, and it was 3 against 1 on that stage tonight.
Okay, so there's her comments on that. It's just pure cope. One more thing I want to show before I end this segment, though, is, they went on and on and on about how he was constantly corrected and she wasn't corrected at all. I just want to show this brief, comment or whatever. No. Actually, this is his response to the debate, I guess. That's right. I totally forgot about this. Okay, let's take a look at this real quick.
I'm going to start with you, Jeff Zeleny. You were in the spin room. Give me the real feeling when you got the people who you were talking to off to the side quietly, and what they were actually saying to you.
Boy, I mean, what a difference a debate makes. I was just thinking back as I was in the spin room last night to that debate in Atlanta, where you could not find a Biden campaign official for a very long time. Different last.
Okay, I actually want to see. Hold on. I want to skip to where they go over his phone call. Here we go.
With her. So I think ABC.
There we go. Let me run it back.
I also want to talk about the here and the now and what Donald Trump is doing today as he rehashes with his friends on Fox. Let's just listen to a little bit of his analysis of himself.
It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because when you looked at the fact that...
Of course, if you did poorly in a debate, it's rigged. You can't control your own words that come out of your mouth or whatever. It must be rigged if you do poorly.
We're correcting everything and not correcting with her. So I think ABC took a big hit last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license for the way they did that. So,
why is that his like response to everything? Like his response is like anybody who's against him, they need to be deplatformed. They need to have their license taken away. Like he just wants himself to constantly be surrounded by people who praise him and they're like yes men to him. And if you're not, he just wants you to get the fuck out. Like it's ridiculous. This is literal dictator behavior. They should lose their license because they didn't make me look good. That's insane. And also he says they took a big hit. Yeah, exactly. Maurice Barry in the chat says big hit from what? Like the Nielsen ratings for the what is it? The viewership of that was off the fucking charts. Like how many people watched it? Let me actually take a look at this real quick. Let me see if I could find it. Because I saw somebody else talking about this. How many people watched the debate? Apparently, at least based off of the initial Nielsen rating, 67 million people watched the debate. 67 million people. So what hit? What hit did they take? What?
Somebody that maybe even had the answers. I mean, I watched her talk, and I said, she seems awfully familiar with the questions.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that she did not have the answers. She did not know.
Okay, so I think this is a pretty good place to wrap it up. But there was something I wanted to show. I thought I had this pulled up, but I guess not. Let me see if I could pull it from my Twitter. But it's just a basic idea of like why they felt the need to correct Trump so much and not her so much. I think this is it right here. Yeah, okay. Let me go ahead and bring this up for you guys so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. This is a screenshot from the initial analysis after the debate of the amount of times that Donald Trump said something dishonest and the amount of times that Kamala Harris said something dishonest. They counted 33-1, chat. 33 plus times Donald Trump said something dishonest and +1 that Kamala said something. Now we know, like, after people have more, like, gone over the debate a few more times and analyzed it a few more times, we know of now 2 instances where Kamala Harris said something that was dishonest. But even then, 2 to 33 plus. And you wonder why he got fact checked so much. Give me a fucking break.